Welcome to another edition of the Coach Daboll Show presented by Stop & Shop. I'm Bob Papa. The Giants are in the wild card round, traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings on Sunday afternoon in Minneapolis, a rematch of the Christmas Eve game. For the New York Giants, their 33rd appearance in the postseason. In the Super Bowl era, the Giants are 21-12 in postseason games, including 4 Super Bowl championships. We got a big show lined up for you. Carl Banks will go to the coach's tape with strategy. We have over-under, above the numbers, player spotlight. But it is with great pleasure I welcome in two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks and the head coach of the New York Football Giants, Brian Daboll. And Coach, obviously you had the game against Philadelphia on Sunday. You learned a lot about players on your team, didn't you, with that game?
Yeah, I thought our guys competed for 60 minutes. They played smart, tough, dependable football. Unfortunately, we came up a little bit short, but really proud of the way the guys competed and kept after it for 60 minutes.
And that's something that when you look at the guys, a lot of those guys don't get reps, right? So it kind of gives you a little insight into what depth you have should you need some of these players, because they were in full-time roles against the top team in football in the conference. And so it gives you a little bit of insight of how you can use guys that normally you may not be able to see other than practice.
Yeah, absolutely, Carl. Every guy on our team is on the team for a reason. We have confidence in them. Sometimes it only takes an opportunity to get your chance. So, we've had guys that we've been plugging in and out, guys that have played some football, guys that haven't played as much, and I think they acquitted themselves very well.
Coach, you've been around a lot of successful programs. You've been involved in a lot of postseason games. You have a relatively inexperienced postseason roster. What are some of the key messages that you're pounding home to your team this week about getting ready to play in this game?
Yeah, I'd say what matters most is how you play and prepare. Again, I've been part of a lot of them, and there's been guys that haven't had a lot of experience that were really important in terms of those runs that I was part of. Some guys that had more experience, but the thing that I've learned throughout it all is it's really how you play the game and how you coach it on Saturday, Sunday, whenever the game is. That's what's most important. Stay consistent with your routine. What wins games in the first game of the season wins games in the postseason if you do things the right way. And we have a core set of things we believe in, and stay true to that philosophy. Prepare well, take care of your body, and go out there and cut it loose.
So there's basically, you're saying, hey, look, what got us here, let's continue to work and improve on those things, and the game will take care of itself. Obviously, the type of players that you have on this roster, the game hasn't been too big for any of them.
Yep.
You've had a lot of people in and out of the lineup, so this is just another game if they do what they prepared to do all year.
Yeah, and I think you draw from your experiences throughout the year. Each game is different. Each atmosphere is different. We've played a lot of different games this year. We've played in the afternoon, we've played on Thanksgiving, we've played on Monday night, we've played in Europe. You draw from some of those experiences and how you prepared, how you took care of your body. We've played in a lot of important games, particularly here towards the end of the stretch. But like I say every week, what happened last game has no bearing on what happens the next game. So our job is to, prepare like we know how to prepare, practice how we know how to practice, keep the main thing, and then go out there and play a good game on Sunday, coach a good game on Sunday, and play with confidence, coach with confidence. But that's really what it is, the experience or this. I mean, I've been part of teams that had a lot of experience and got our asses kicked. So I've been part of teams that have had less and won, or vice versa. So what I found out is, it's how you play the game.
Coach, does it help, and I'm not saying one way or another, but does it help from your perspective and your team and the players on the field? Term in boxing, we felt their punch. Your guys recently got a feel for what it's like to really play against Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson. Does that help in the preparation as far as how guys get ready for the game?
Well, I think the players that are out there competing against one another, probably understand the skill sets even a little bit more, but those are two really good football players. We played them just a few weeks ago. We're going to need our best plan and our best effort against them. A guy like Justin, he's pretty hard to stop. Like, not many people could just stop him. He's going to have his plays. We got to do a good job of playing good team defense against him. The same thing with Hawkinson, had his probably best game against us. So it'll be a collective thing with us. And I think again, back to we've played in these different spots. We played Washington, and then a few weeks later we played Washington again. So it's not new, it's a different team, but I think you can draw from those experiences too of how you planned, how you did things, the matchups, the player preparation. I think you learn from each week.
Dalvin Cook, as good a running back as we see in this league because he can catch. He's a great open field runner when he has the ball in his hands, but he's a between the tackles guy too. Assignment football is going to be important. Gap assignment football is going to be important when you play this team because that gives them even more balance, correct? Absolutely.
Just another dynamic playmaker for him. Can take it the distance. We talked about this earlier last time we played him. He has that screen pass against Indianapolis, goes the distance. You can hand it to him. He can run inside. He can run outside. He's good in the passing game. He's got really good speed. Just another good playmaker for Cousins in their offense.
Coach, it's going to be exciting. We appreciate a couple minutes. I know you got a lot of work to get done between now and kickoff, but we appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
That's the head coach of the New York Giants, Brian Daboll, taking a couple minutes to join us. When we come back, we'll take a look back at that first meeting between the Giants and the Vikings here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop.
Hampton gets the call, going right, finds a hole right, gets the call for 40, 35, he's on the right side, he might score! Touchdown! 51 yards of brilliant blocking and brilliant running by Hampton.
Rodney Hampton's performance, 161 yards rushing, keyed the Giants to their win against the Minnesota Vikings in the 1993 wild card round. As we welcome you back to the Coach Daboll Show presented by Stop and Shop, the Giants played the Vikings on Christmas Eve. It was a thriller. Here are the sights and sounds of that game.
Let's go! You know what time it is, man? Christmas Eve, man. What more can you do? Merry Christmas. I hope Santa brought y'all something nice this year. I ain't got nothing for you today. We just gotta go do it. You know what I'm talking about? They gotta line up and get sets. We ain't lining up against them. They gotta line up and get sets. Simple as that.
Everything we do it fast. We do it together.
It's us against the world. You gotta believe in us, man. Let's do it. Let's go. Giants on 3. 1, 2, 3.
It's a Christmas whiteout game. They actually have fake snow, which is a very nice touch here in Minneapolis. 3rd and 10 from the 23-yard line. Cousins back to throw, under pressure, fires it to the right sideline, and knocked away from Hawkinson by Landon Collins. What a play by Collins. Cousins calls out signals, takes the snap, back to throw, has time, under pressure, gets hit and gets sacked back at the 23-yard line by Azeez Ojulari. Almost a fumble there.
Yeah. Great play. It's a 7 way to play, baby. Way to play, baby. Nice job. Nice job. Got it during the week. Huh? Got it during the week. Got to.
Play fake. Jones back to throw, climbs the pocket. He's under pressure. Now rolls right, throws right. Touchdown Giants. Isaiah Hodgins.
That's a good job by Daniel Jones. Once the pocket breaks down, he keeps his eyes down the field, goes from left to right, scrambles, finds the open guy.
Keep doing what we're doing now. Yeah, you guys playing your ass off, right?
Hey, well done. That's 2 good drives in a row. All right, good job on the protections. Nice job coming off the ball, okay? Let's just do our job right there. Inside, we'll move the ball.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move the ball. Let's stay on these guys, okay? Good work.
3 receivers left. Shotgun set. Cousins drops back to throw. Sets. Lobs one left corner of the end zone. Caught by Hawkinson for the touchdown. 3rd and 10 at the 17. Cousins back to throw. Has time. Fastball over the middle. Caught. Touchdown Minnesota. Justin Jefferson.
Let's do what we do. Good job. Ready to go. Ready to go, boys.
Let's take it OT.
Jones takes the snap, back to throw. Fires it left, completes it to Slayton on the run across midfield. Down the left sideline, Slayton all the way to the 40 and shouldered out of bounds at the Minnesota 35-yard line. 2:07 to go, Vikings by 8. 4th and 2 at the 27. Jones in a shotgun set, Barkley to his right. Takes the snap. Hand off Barkley. Runs up the middle. He's got a first down. Barkley still on his feet to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Saquon Barkley with 2:01 to go.
There's plenty of time. This team continues to battle, Bob.
The 27-yard touchdown run. And now it's time for the 2-point conversion. Vikings have only given up 1 in 4 opportunities. Jones calls signals, takes the snap, rolls to his right, looking. Now lobs it into the back of the end zone, caught for the 2-point conversion by Bellinger.
That sells the game again, Coach.
And we are tied at 24 with 2:01 to go. Wow, Merry Christmas, Giant fans.
They won't quit. 60-yard
field goal. Joseph is set. Snap is good. Kick on its way. End over end. Does it have the distance? It is good! Carl, the Giants gave the Vikings all they can handle. They didn't have Xavier McKinney. They didn't have Adoree Jackson. And they made some mistakes in that game. When you look back at it, that game was very gettable for them.
It was. And, you know, to be able to play a team as close as they played the Vikings with the backups they had, and to overcome or almost overcome some big mistakes that the Giants had in that game, should give them some level of confidence that they can go in and compete and give themselves a better chance to come out with victory.
It's a high wire act for both the Giants and the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, the Player Spotlight here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop. Late Sunday afternoon, it's the Giants and Vikings in the wild card round. Now it's time for this week's edition of the Player Spotlight.
Thanks, Bob. Sean O'Hara here with Daniel Jones. DJ, congratulations on the playoffs. Happy New Year. I'm sure you're excited. It's an exciting time for Giants fans and certainly for the team. Your first time in the playoffs. Take me through what you're feeling right now personally and what the team's mindset is right now as you guys prepare for this big playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all excited for the opportunity. You understand the implications of these games. It's win or go home. And everything's amped up that much more. But I think largely, my mindset, I think our team's mindset is to approach it the same way. Our preparation, our process, what's gotten us to this point, largely is going to be the same, and we're going to go about it very similarly. But, we understand what's at stake, and we're excited for the opportunity.
From a preparation standpoint, you guys just played Minnesota in Week 16, so they're pretty fresh on your brain. But obviously that game went down to the wire. I kind of think about that final drive where you led the team down, you scored the touchdown with Saquon, got the 2-point conversion. How much from that game can you parlay and can you kind of look at to help you for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly some things we can take from that game, carry over into this game. I think there's some things, we could have done better. Things, if we had another shot, we could change it up. So, we'll look to do that, look to improve on what we did and try to make a few more plays. It's helpful to have that game so recent to look back on and learn from. But at the same time, you can't expect anything to go exactly how it went just because we played them so recently. So we'll have a plan, we'll prepare going in, but you can't expect, everything to play out exactly like it did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some adjustments in the game. They're watching the same film too, so they want to get away from their tendencies. I want to go back to a couple weeks ago, the Colts game. You're at home, unbelievable game, 4 touchdowns, 2 by air, 2 by the ground, and you get the curtain call, right? You get the ovation from the fans, and as Coach replaces you with Tyrod Taylor. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, it was a cool moment for sure. Felt good to play the way we did, in a big game where we needed to win to clinch the playoffs. And I thought, it was one of our better games all around. I thought we executed well in the pass game. We ran the ball effectively, scored points in the red zone. So, I was proud of that. And then, cool just to win that way. And I thought that was a fun moment for sure.
I want to just kind of real quick reflect on this season. Obviously, it was a big year for many reasons, for you personally and for the team. But the success that you've had, you talked about the execution. Nobody has executed better than you this year. And when you look at how well you've taken care of the football and how well you've done it with a different receiver, it seems like week in and week out to start the season, and what can you kind of look at to what has contributed to that success? Is it been Brian Daboll? Is it Mike Kafka? Is it something that you guys did differently this year that helped you bring out the best version of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think those guys certainly deserve a lot of credit. I've learned a lot from Dave's, from Kafka, from Shea. I think they've all helped me a lot from a decision-making standpoint, from what to expect, and then from there, if it doesn't play out exactly how you expect, where your outlet is or how to use your legs, avoid holding the ball in the pocket. I think all those things are important, and then I think the guys. The guys up front have done a great job protecting, giving me time to throw, and guys have got open and made plays. So regardless of who it's been, like you said, it's changed up throughout the course of the year. But whoever's been in there has done a great job, preparing, getting on the same page, putting the work in, putting the time in throughout the week, so that when we get out on Sunday, I know where everyone's going to be and we're able to execute.
We're looking forward to you guys continuing that trend, and looking forward to the playoff game. Good luck against Minnesota, and thanks, as always, for taking a little time to talk a little football. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
Great to see you, DJ. All right, don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more coming up on the Coach Daboll Show.
To reach the Super Bowl in 2007, the Giants had the daunting task of needing to first win 3 straight playoff games on the road. And that journey would begin in Tampa against the Buccaneers in the NFC wildcard game.
We travel. We went on the road. We didn't travel. Kick us out. We come in.
To have a shot at the Lombardi Trophy, the Giants knew they had to do 2 things well. The first was hit the quarterback.
They don't want you to come right back in here.
Pressure up the middle. He slides left, throws it left for Galloway. Intercepted by Corey Webster.
What a job. Come on, let's go. Bring it out.
The second objective was don't turn the ball over, and the Giants would execute that plan perfectly against the Bucs.
Manning back to throw. Looks right, throws it for Jacobs, makes the catch at the 5, into the end zone for the touchdown. Manning back to throw. Pumps, looks, fires right for Toomer in the end zone. Touchdown Giants. Amani Toomer. They lead it 24-7. Manning, 20 of 27, $185, 2 touchdowns. Never put the ball in harm's way.
Off to Dallas. Off to Dallas.
The Giants' Super Bowl 42 run began against a division winner when they won in Tampa against the Buccaneers. As we welcome you back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop. Now it's time for this week's edition of Head to Head, as we send it to Paul Dottino.
So now it's time to go head-to-head for the Giants' playoff matchup with the Minnesota Vikings. Sean, let's see who's up first. Darius Slayton against Patrick Peterson. Now, Slayton is 6th in the NFL with an average yards per catch of 15.7 a pop. Against Minnesota last month, 4 receptions for 79 yards. All 4 went for first down, Sean. Big play man for the Giants. Peterson, on the other hand, tied for 5th in the NFL with 5 interceptions. And last time against the Giants, he had a pick, he had 4 tackles, and he also did allow 1 touchdown catch. The Giants know he is a crafty veteran who could hurt you at any time.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good veteran player, been a good player in this league for a long time. At the end of the day, no matter who it is across from you, got to find a way to beat him. And that varies guy to guy, but for somebody like him, he definitely got to be aware of his ability to, read splits, read your body language, things like that. But as long as I play my game, I think I'll be all right.
Darius Slayton had 4 catches for 79 yards, and you mentioned that yards per catch, 19.8 yards per catch. So big play Slay was definitely on display against Minnesota in Week 16. I went back and looked at that film, Paul, and one of the things that jumped out at me was the respect they showed Darius Slayton for his speed. Early in the first quarter, he ran a couple of great routes. He ran a deep out route against Patrick Peterson, and he turned him around, basically. Ball was a little high by Daniel Jones. He was a little geeked up to play. And then later on in the first quarter, he runs a deep in cut against against Shelley, and same exact thing. Ball's a little bit high. But what both corners showed was the respect for that speed and that deep play ability of Slayton. Now, this is a great matchup because you mentioned the crafty veteran right here, Patrick Peterson. All right, this guy is not your typical corner. He's not staring in at the quarterback. He's reading the body language of the receiver, reading the routes. And we saw him jump the Hodges on the interception that you mentioned back in week 16. He read that route so well. He will jump on routes. He will jump. If he sees a receiver break in, he will jump it, which makes him susceptible to the double move. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Giants try to hit him with that double move, try to find a way to either get a big penalty, he has 7 penalties on the season, or get a big play to Slayton. But this will be a fun little matchup, and when you kind of look at down in the red zone, that's where I think they're going to try to take advantage of Patrick Peterson. He has allowed 3 touchdowns this season. 2 of them were in the red zone, and one of them to Isaiah Hodgins, where he just kind of lost him in the shuffle as DJ scrambled with his feet.
So he can be tricky, Sean. He will bait quarterbacks whenever possible. He is second among active NFL players with 34 career interceptions. Well, we go to our next matchup. And it's Xavier McKinney, who missed that first game against Minnesota because of a hand injury, against TJ Hawkinson. McKinney's been targeted 23 times by quarterbacks this year and only allowed 12 completions. The Giants will be very happy to get him back because Hawkinson is number 2 in the National Football League amongst tight ends in receptions and in yards. Last time against the Giants, a career-high 13 receptions for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is a guy who can burn you from anywhere on the field.
I mean, he's one of the the best tight ends in the league. So he's gonna make plays. But he did a lot of things well. The last game we played him, obviously they schemed up things, for him to, be able to play well. But he had a great game, and we know that. So we just got to go in, go into this game knowing, that he can, is capable of what he did last game, and do our best to minimize that.
Yeah, Xavier McKinney, no doubt, will have his hands full. You mentioned the big game that he had against the Giants, TJ Hawkinson had against the Giants back in week 16. I think the challenge is going to be finding TJ Hawkinson and where is he formationally. He's not a down-the-seam, middle-of-the-field kind of tight end. He's a lot more of a quick out route guy or a quick pass guy or a design scheme. They love to throw tight end screens to him. So the challenge defensively for Xavier McKinney and the rest of the Giants is find TJ Hawkinson. Where are you trying to hide him? Where are you trying to disguise him based on the way he lines up? And one little key that I picked up watching some film is when you see him in motion a lot in a passing play, a lot of times they're doing that to try to create space for him and create different elements for him in the passing game to get open. So it'll definitely be a challenge for Xavier McKinney. I think everything will be in front of him. The big challenge, not just in coverage, Paul, it's tackling this guy. He's a tough tackle, a little bit like George Kittle. The first guy doesn't always bring him down. So Xavier, he's going to have him in front of him, but he's got to make sure he tackles him after the catch.
You mentioned the 2 touchdown catches against the Giants. Both came in the red zone. That shouldn't be a surprise. He has 6 touchdown catches on the season. 5 have come from within the red zone. That'll do it for head-to-head this week. Now we go back to Bob.
The acquisition of TJ Hawkinson has been huge for Minnesota. When you think of the receivers they have and the backs they have, this guy really hurt the Giants in that first meeting.
Yeah, and he is a major outlet because they know a guy like Justin Jefferson is going to be priority number 1. So you have Hawkinson and you have the running back, Dalvin Cook, both really good receivers. So you have to pay attention to their entire skill set of players because any one of those guys can fill in where Jefferson gets left with all the coverage.
And having Xavier McKinney back will certainly help the Giants' chances in this game. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Madeline Burke joins us for Over Under here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop. It's the Giants and Vikings in the wild card round in Minneapolis. Now it's time for Over Under as we send it over to Madeline Burke.
Time for a little playoff edition of Over Under. Madeline Burke, Sean O'Hara, and Amani Toomer. Fellas, you know the rules of the game. I'll put out a number and you'll tell me if you think the Giants will go over or under. So the first one in the wild card weekend matchup with the Minnesota Vikings. Sean, over or under 4.5 sacks by the New York Giants?
Matt, this is the playoffs. Give me the over right here. I think Dexter Lawrence can have 4.5 by himself. All right, let's go, big man. I want to see him dancing all over the place. I think when you go back and look at the Week 16 matchup, Monty, the Giants sacked Kirk Cousins 4 times in that game alone. Now they're without their starting right tackle, Brian O'Neill. I got the Giants going over 4.5 sacks.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think I like the 4.5 sacks. I like the over. I like the positive vibe. I like the energy. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling
that big playoff energy.
I'm feeling what you're putting down. I definitely gonna go over this. I feel like the Giants, with a little bit of rest, a little bit of newfound energy, because the fact is the first time the Giants have been in the playoffs in far too long. I'm over.
Also, the Vikings have given up 47 sacks on the season. That is among the most in the National Football League. Give me the over on this one as well.
There it is. We want that.
We want the sexy sack dance, the playoff version right here. Let's have all of it. Guys got to eat. All right, Amani, over under 25 carries by Saquon Barkley.
Oh, let's hope it's over. I mean, I want to see Saquon with the ball coming off the bus. I want to see him the ball. I want to see him the ball. I think he is one of the most dynamic playmakers in the NFL. Most dynamic playmakers on the Giants football team. If the Giants are going to go down, they should go down with their fastball. And Saquon Barkley is definitely the fastball of the New York Giants.
I'm with you, Amani. I would love to see him go over, but I think he goes under. We've only seen Saquon Barkley. Look, he's only had over 25 carries 2 times this whole season. So it's not really something that they're looking for him to, hey, we got to have 25 carries. 25 touches? Absolutely. But I'll take the under on this. I also think Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka are looking at his Viking defense and they're saying, wow, there's all kinds of holes, all kinds of opportunity against this pass defense. We're going to air it out a little bit.
I'm going to kind of go ahead and agree with you there as well. I think 25 touches, over for sure. But 25 carries, the run game is important. Let's run the ball. But the way that we've seen Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins getting involved, Daniel Jones coming into his own, airing it out, let's see him send it right there. All right, Sean, over under 55 combined points.
All right, Week 16, these teams combined for 51 points. So I'm going to take the under on this one. I think playoff football, it's a lot more intense. Everybody's more physical. It's a lot tougher to really look at a team and say, all right, they're going to give up the big play. You don't see a lot of the mental errors, the busted coverages. So I'm going to take the under. The explosive plays aren't always there in the playoff atmosphere. And I think 55 is a lot of points to ask both of these teams to combine for.
I'm going to go with the under as well. I think with Adoree Jackson and Xavier McKinney coming back, I think the Giants defense is going to be able to handle Justin Jefferson a little bit better than they did last time. So I feel like it's going to be under because I feel like the Giants are going to let up far fewer points than they did in the last meeting.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Unders across the board as well. The Giants are, have only hit the 30-point mark once this season. Don't do it often. The Vikings, can score points, but as you said, the defense is going to be a bigger part of this game, especially in the playoffs. Let's go under here as well. All right, Amani, finally, 3.5 touchdowns, run or pass from Daniel Jones, over under.
I'm going to go over. I just feel like Daniel Jones, he has taken this particular Giants team to the playoffs, and the way he's handled this season through the ups and downs, he's ripe for showing the city what kind of performance he can have during the playoffs.
I'm going to take Daniel Jones. I'm going to take the over on 3.5 total touchdowns, and here's why. 2 weeks ago, we saw him count for 4, 2 by air, 2 by land. We're seeing him, the crescendo of his career, the crescendo of his season. He's gotten better every single week, and now it's playoff time. I think we're going to see the best version of Daniel Jones, and I think he's going to do something in this game he has not done all season long. He's going to throw for 3 touchdowns, which means he also runs for 1. He does not have a 3 passing touchdown game this entire season until now.
Wow, you heard it here first on the Coach Daboll Show. Sean saying the big things right here. I'm going to go ahead and take the under, not because I don't believe in Daniel Jones, because I absolutely do, but because I also believe in Saquon Barkley. And I think that there's going to be meat left on the bone for number 26 to get in the end zone, not once, maybe twice, maybe a couple rushing touchdowns. I feel like I like that narrative as well. But either way, lots to look forward to as the Giants face the Vikings Sunday at 4:30. That's a wrap for us on Over Under. Let's send it back to Bob and Carl in the field house.
Carl, Daniel Jones set a New York Giants record for most rushing yards by a quarterback. His legs and his arm are going to be keys in this game.
Well, you have to use every tool in the box. This is a single game elimination. So you have to be able to utilize everything you have in order to win this game.
And Daniel Jones was huge in that game. in Minnesota when the Giants wound up losing on that last-second field goal. They'll need him at his best in his first ever playoff game. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Carl goes to the coach's tape with strategy here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop. In the Giants' historic 2011 season, Big Blue's playoff run would begin in the NFC wildcard game, starting at home against the Atlanta Falcons.
Here comes Ryan to the line, 4th and inches. Empty backfield, Jones in motion. Ryan's going to keep it. He got stopped. He didn't get there. Second time today. They've been stopped on 4th and inches by the Big Blue defense. Eli back to throw. Steps up over the middle. Nick's wide open at the 40. 45, runs through a tackle. There goes Nick. Gallops over another. He's going to score. 72 yards.
And some effort there by Akeem Mitch now.
Eli Manning would throw the dagger in the fourth quarter, clinching the Giants' first home playoff win since 2000.
Middle of the field, high post, and it's caught for the touchdown. Mario Manningham with the touchdown. New York Giants are on to the divisional round and a trip to Green Bay against the Packers.
Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop and Shop. The Giants win against the Atlanta Falcons in wildcard round of 2011, the only playoff game ever played in MetLife Stadium. As we welcome you back to the Coach Daboll Show, and it's time for strategy with the Giants taking on the Vikings in wildcard weekend with Carl Banks. And Carl, we're going to take a look at some things here that the Giants cannot do against the Vikings if they want to advance.
Right. Now, the thing is, Bob, we're going to probably do a little more teaching than normal because normally it's what the Giants must do. This is what they can't do. Having familiarity with the Minnesota Vikings first game, you can really break down some things that can happen again. Rule number one, when you're not playing a RPO offense or a quarterback who can pull it and run it, there's only one guy who can get the football. If it's one back that can get it. So your linebackers, both guys should be keying the running back. In whatever direction that runner goes, quick step, but these steps have got to be here and at the line of scrimmage, because the longer he stays back, you see he cuts right up in there. So what you have to do, you have to build the wall. That's a stretch run play, right? Linebackers got to be attacking into the line of scrimmage. You've got a double here, but you got a guy again who can come in, and you got a guy here who can set the edge as well. But it's all about attacking the line of scrimmage. And once you know there's one guy who can get the ball, this is a fast read.
So less here about lateral movement and more angle heading in.
Direct, attack the line of scrimmage. The stretch play is designed to stretch. They want to stretch defenders also so they can get the angles on them.
All right, now we have one more running play, another different formation. Now the quarterback's in shotgun where the discipline has to be held.
Discipline has to be held. It's shotgun, but you can see these two guys are parallel. So there's a couple things that could happen here, Bob, is they could pitch it, which they like to do, going both ways, or it's a quick hitter right inside, which means it's going to be direct runs. But what you have to do is anticipate that these are the formations that Dalvin Cook likes to get to the edge with the football. It's a lot quicker if he gets to the edge. Now you can see he just sets there, and look, if you can, let me bring this back again. He's all the way out by the tackle. He's no longer, if you look at his original formation, let me bring it back, he's aligned with the guard here, right? So when he moves, and this is something linebackers should see, he's no longer by the guard. He's aligned with the tackle. It gets him to the edge to stretch this play even more. So linebackers have to be alert. Now, this linebacker here, he's not going to make the play all the way over here first. So he's got to be a guy who trails the play as a cutback defender. Front side guys, set the edge, set the edge, set the edge. So if it cuts back, this linebacker should be in the hole to make the play. Let's see what happens. And there he goes. So you've got a fast read here, but if you have an edge player, you should be inside out pushing so that the ball cuts right back into you. And if it cuts all the way back, this guy is running too fast, okay? He's got to trail this play because there's nothing that can happen on this side other than this guy coming to block you. So you've got to trail with pace. Now he's running. Now you got this whole window. A back like Cook, you see the edge is set here. You did not feel here. So when you run this way, there's no one to the backside of this play, and it cuts all the way back.
Some of the things that the Giants cannot allow to happen in this game as far as run discipline is concerned. Now, you know that they can make some plays in the passing game too, Carl. Justin Jefferson had a monster year. Let's talk about having to deal with him and Hawkinson.
Two very skilled receivers, but when you have techniques that need to be played, you have to play the technique and not guess. If you're an outside defender and you've got help to the inside, don't jump inside. Let the inside help do his job. You be outside on it. So it's all about the technique, especially when you're playing a guy who you just have to try to contain in Jefferson because you're just not going to shut him out during the course of a game. Here you'll see, let me bring this back. You see here, this is going to develop into a trail technique with inside help here. So as this play develops, you'll see the trail. Now he has to maintain outside leverage, right? No matter what wiggles he does, just know that you got help to the inside. So when you play outside leverage, you got to keep it in. The guy who's playing inside leverage, you're looking right at the biggest threat. You're looking, you see the biggest threat right here. Get ready to break on the football. You just can't be flat-footed because now if you have an intersection, you make your play if you play the proper technique. Outside help was there, inside help has to be there.
And it's amazing because just that 1 second of hesitation with a guy like Jefferson results in a touchdown. Hawkinson scored 2 against the Giants. Very athletic. They got him in the left slot.
Yeah, he's in the left slot, just runs a wheel route, right? So here it is. Now this is a natural pick route. These guys, they're all making contact on purpose. They're making contact. If you're in coverage here, you're either going over the top or you're going to have to get through the garbage to get to your guy. But again, the hesitation. You see the stutter step. Here, be decisive. See the little stutter step there? Now he's got you beat. What you got to do, you can't be hesitant. You got to go intersect that. But you're hesitant, and then you try to go around it. Touchdown. Almost is not quite good enough. So be decisive. You know when they're in a trips formation, there's going to be the possibility of a pick to either number 2 or number 3. So be prepared for it and know how you want to intersect that.
That's a look at strategy with Carl Banks, brought to you by PSE&G, providing safe, reliable energy now and in the future. When we come back, Above the Numbers here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop, as we're getting you set for the Giants and the Vikings. It's time for Above the Numbers. Here's Paul Dottino.
Okay, so let's go above the numbers for the wild card game between the Giants and the Minnesota Vikings this weekend. Amani, what do we have first?
We got Daniel Bellinger. Not only is he a good option for Daniel Jones as a pass receiver, but what he does in the run game is very unsung. You can't notice it all the time, but as this season started to kind of go in the wrong direction, it happened to be those 4 games that Daniel Bellinger missed with his eye injury. So I feel like once he is in there, he kind of solidifies that run game and allows Saquon Barkley and he allows Daniel Jones to really be able to contribute more on the run, and that opens up the pass game for everybody. And he happens to be a very good tight end as well, catching the ball and doing some things, making plays, moving the chains down the field. And I think he's a very valuable asset to this Giants Giants team.
That's a good call, Amani. Now, Bellinger's averaging 12 yards per catch this year, 4th among NFL tight ends, but he's gone 6 games without catching a touchdown pass. The Giants would love to change that. Minnesota's given up 7 touchdown passes to tight ends this year, tied for 9th most in the league. Now, on my side of the ledger, I'm going with Fabian Moreau. Now, regardless of who Adoree Jackson may or may not cover if he comes back in this game, Moreau's going to have to play big. He does lead the Giants with 10 passes defensed. That's 1 short of his career high, which he had last year with Atlanta. He does have a career high 66 tackles. 8 of those tackles came against Minnesota. And oh, by the way, he has no interceptions this year. Cousins has thrown at least 2 picks in 4 games this season and is tied for 3rd in the NFL with 14 interceptions. Let's see if he can get a takeaway.
Absolutely. You got guys in the secondary that are going to have to make plays against this talented Minnesota Viking wide receiving core, and the more players you can get that can contribute, the better.
All right, Amani, who goes below the numbers this week? Danielle Hunter from the Vikings had a very big game against the Giants last time. 7 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, 4 quarterback hits. Now, why is that important? Because the 22 quarterback hits he has this season is tied for his career high. And oh, by the way, one of 19 players this season to have at least 10 sacks. He is a game wrecker.
Absolutely. This is somebody we're going to have to keep an eye on, and hopefully with the week off, our line will be a little bit more healthy and be able to handle Danielle Hunter a little bit better.
Yeah, Hunter goes most of the time up against Evan Neal, the Giants' right tackle. And by the way, the Vikings, they're going to play it straight. They don't fool you now. In terms of blitz percentage, only 18% of the time, 23rd in the league. They'll just come right at you. That'll do it for Above the Numbers this week. Let's go back to Bob.
Carl, Kirk Cousins had a fantastic season. They didn't have the record without him having that kind of year. But he's going to give you some opportunities. The Giants have to take advantage of him when he throws it to you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Be where you're supposed to be. And if the guys up front do their job, there will be opportunities because he is susceptible to pressure. And just like any other quarterback, he may put 1 or 2 at risk.
This Giants game between the Giants and the Minnesota Vikings is presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the New York Giants. Verizon, America's most reliable network. Make sure you join us after the game on MSG. It's Giants Postgame Live, presented by NFL All Day. A full recap of the Giants and Vikings in Wild Card Weekend. So for Carl Banks, Coach Daboll, and our entire crew, I'm Bob Papa. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Stop & Shop.